of people is a person who can throw off 1 or 2 pounds, a 1 or 2 pound blanket off of his body in the morning. He said that's the strongest person. He can lift 2 pounds at 3 o'clock in the morning. You try to do that. Doesn't matter how much weight. It says if he can lift that, and he puts Allah before everything, he shows Allah how he loves him in the way that Allah says to love me in this way. Shaitan said, I'm going to worship you in ways that you've never been worshipped. He says, I don't need you to do that. I need you to do this. And it's the epitome of arrogance when a person says and dictates in his response, whether verbally or by action, when he decides that he's going to tell Allah how he's going to show him the love for Allah. Instead of the way that Allah said that you want to show love for me, then do this. This is your opportunity. He says, no, I'm going to show it by this way. Oh, it's not the way to achieve nearness to Allah. Right? Like they teach in psychology, speak in the language of the listener. Right? Or they teach people in relationship counseling, don't do things for your partner that you will think that you like. Do things that they actually will like. You know, I like basketball, so I say for anniversary gift, let's go play basketball. You know, let's just get a good pickup game. You know, let's practice dunking off a trampoline. My wife says, you know, these are ballet classes. These are wonderful. You should check these out. Well, you have to think about the other party and how they want to be loved. So, in this month, Allah says, and He gives us these opportunities. It says this month of Ramadan, it's a month of fasting. You stay away from food, you stay away from drink, etc., etc. And the things that have been commanded for us to stay away from. Each one of those things has a special spiritual effect. But this is also opportunity that when you're not so attached to the most base level of just eating and consuming of food, it gives a person opportunity, it gives him time, it gives him more opportunity, more clarity to be able to focus on other things. Yes, you're hungry, yes, the days are long, but it's supposed to be hunger experience. Some places the tradition is you stay up all night so that you can sleep all day. But the part of Ramadan is to experience the hunger that Imam Hassan al-Askari says that this is the reason, part of the reason is to experience the hunger of hungry people, of needy people. Right? Not to avoid feeling that hunger. You know, not that it makes it haram or unlawful if a person does that, but this is part of that the holistic experience of what Ramadan is about, is to be able to come out and to be able to feel and to experience that. You know, this, when those crazy people were lined up outside of, with their guns and their, you know, profane shirts on saying bad stuff about Islam in Arizona, inshallah, Allah bless them with some intellect. But when they were doing this, it was an article that was posted in the Washington Post that one of the people went inside and he says that he went there, he prayed with them. He sat with them and he came out and he said, I'll never wear this shirt again. I'll never wear this shirt again. He said, yeah, there's definitely misunderstandings. People are speaking out of emotions and things that they don't even really believe. That is the essence or reality of Islam, obviously. If someone has an opportunity to touch that, to feel that, to experience that, to experience what is Islam, then that's a game changer. That is a game changer. One of the biggest obstacles in the month of Ramadan, and one of the things that I want to talk about in general, two main points that I want to make. One is the importance of prayer, and also one of the biggest obstacles, which is something called ujb, or self-admiration, like pride, arrogance. It's one of the greatest obstacles. Prayer is one of the greatest, most important things about achieving that nearness to Allah. When He says to love Him in the way that He wants to be worshipped, Allah, the way that He has said to be worshipped. He wants to be worshipped. How does prayer actually help a person? How do they achieve that level? What is it? Obviously, it's not just the motions of going through prayer. There has to be something more. And scholars of akhlaq have said to focus on three things in prayer, at least, in order to be able to make that prayer what it's supposed to be in your achieving proximity to Allah. One is your qira'ah, your recitation, what is being said. We have to focus on that and understand that. If the words that you say lack any kind of, they don't hit home for yourself, and they don't penetrate yourself, or you don't believe in it, then you can't really get the benefit from it. So how many times a day do we recite, for example, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ? Only you alone do I worship, you alone do I seek for help. When you contemplate and reflect on this tawakkul and this reliance on Allah, and seeking help, istighatha, only from Allah, then what it puts into perspective is the time that we go and we look to this person and that person to solve our problems, did we put them as our goal as solving our problems, or do we realize that it's really Allah that's solving our problems? We're saying, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ, but how do we believe it in our practice? So the moment when you say this, you have to be reflecting on these words. Sirat al-Mustaqim, what is the straight path? It says Shaitan is waiting where? On the straight path. In the hadith it says the straight path is the path of the walayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Understanding that, we say so much Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Even the words Rahman Rahim, and you know they have the same similar root letters, Rahim, Mim, Rahman, mercy. Rahman Rahim, what's the difference in them? It says one is expressing an extreme amount of mercy. One is expressing a consistent level of mercy. So Allah's mercy is extreme. It's a lot. It's abundant. And also Allah's mercy is continuous. But it also has other meanings too. It also means that there's a mercy that's for all of humanity, regardless, irrespective of their piety. There's a mercy for every being and creature. Then there's a mercy specific to the believers. And these are the words that we utter every day. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So when we say one part of this, taking advantage of prayers that qira'ah, this is what it means, that when I say this, I recognize that, wow, inshallah, I'm in that bliss of those group of people who not only gets that granted mercy, but he gets that additional, bonus mercy too. not only do I have to realize that, yes, this is an opportunity because Allah's mercy is extreme, it's no matter what a person has done, but it also is a continuous kind of mercy. So understanding each and every word that we say, at least in our prayer, from start to finish, there shouldn't be a single word which we utter, which we don't have a comprehension of what it means. Every single word, we should have a clear understanding of what it means, what it represents. The next part, it says, and these two parts are similar, but the second one is your harakat, the movements in your prayer. He says to look and consider your movements, your bowing, your prostration. He says look and consider the movements that you make in prayer. One of the things that Malcolm talks about in his autobiography is about his experience of trying to do sajda for the first time. Because what is that but the most humbling of experiences? You take the head you hold high and you put it on the ground, on the earth. And how that was humbling for him. And I've heard this from many people. This in the article about the guy who went into the mosque in Arizona. Apparently he said, I kneeled and I prayed. And I experienced something I never experienced before. Yes, worship Allah the way that He wants. So harakat, the movements, and the last part is the sakanat. The sakanat are the parts of prayer where you're still. It says Imam Sajjad would be so still in his prayers as if he was a tree, a trunk of a tree so still. So this is a whole era in age, along with the information age and era comes also the age and era of ADHD, and everybody's hyper. And we're in a rush, and we're fidgety, and we have to go, and to be able to be still in the presence of everything. And one of the examples is as if you're, like you take someone who's a soldier and his sergeant comes and he's just like at attention. He's not fidgeting and, wobbling around, looking around, who's doing what. Some places where one place, and there's some rough places in Philly where I'm from, but there's some places where they'll actually, you're not praying correctly, somebody will make sure that they make the proper modifications for you to make sure that you have made your prayer correctly. Well, if you're worrying about your own prayer, maybe you wouldn't even notice that. Your sakanat means that part of being still does not mean, probing and seeing who's doing what. Being the salat police, it means that you're so focused on the law that you're not even worried about. It says when they talk about Imam Ali alayhi salam, they take him the arrow out of his leg, wait till he's praying to do it. He's focused. All this other stuff in the book called Adab al-Salat. Beautiful book. Imam Khomeini, rahmatullah alayhi, he mentions about two things that I want to mention that he talks about in that book. One is about please recite salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
One is about the level of focus. He said at that moment you should feel like every single thing in existence is nothing but complete poverty.
Hmm.
Everything else, the people around you, that ground, that rug, your phone, your clothes, this is all nothing. It's all needy. It's all doesn't exist without the blessing of Allah. It's nothing. It's completely dependent on Allah. Everything. He says when you look at that, then you realize that there's only Allah. That's the kind of level of focus. It's like you're on a desert. There's nothing there. It's just you and Allah. And the other thing is, there was a question that came up in a discussion that when you say, and when we give salams in our prayer, and you say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. When you're giving salam, you're saying Assalamu alaikum. It was a discussion. Who is this kum? The pronoun of kum, of you all? Peace be unto you all. Who are you all? What are we talking about? Who's this referred to? Imam Khomeini talks about that in his books. Very interesting. And he explains why there's a